Hello and welcome to the last part of the PW build. We've done a lot of episodes on this already. At this point, the stuff that we're doing is just stuff needed in order to get the thing reliable and running for trails and stuff. Because obviously, you know, this bike's meant for like a 10-year-old. It's not meant for an adult's weight. I've done some mods to get that where it needs to be, but specifically like the rear shock is stock and just collapses under an adult's weight. So there's no suspension travel in the back. The tires are horrific. They're just like eBay specials, plus they're old. Given the current supply issues, it's kind of hard to get a hold of stuff. And when you do get a hold of stuff, it's quite expensive. But thankfully, I've been collecting things for a while now. The only thing I wasn't able to get was the full exhaust. You can buy them on back order, but there's like no delivery time, and they're also more expensive than they were previously. So I think I'd rather just wait. But in any case, that's not enough to warrant another episode. This will be the last full episode of this project. We'll just get at it real quick, get the stuff done, and then from here on out, the bike will be, you know, in the background, but won't be any sort of formal content about it. Part of the things I want to get done is have the handlebar repowder coated. A lot of the parts that get wore out have already been repowder coated in a color that's super close to the original, so it doesn't look weird and out of place if I don't do the triple clamps. But I just gotta pull it off. We have a new pad to go on here. I have different grips because these are just like the really cheapy mini bike ones, and a couple of little small things here and there. Hardware I'm gonna replace this time around. Okay, just go there. Oh, fairly easy. It's gonna be hard to, it's gonna be hard to put that back together once we have a layer of powder coat on it, but that's a future me problem. Time to finally retire this handlebar pad. This is the one that came off the blaster when I got it. I think it's time to actually go away. I'm trying to get this thing set up for the way I ride, which is mostly on clay and asphalt. So I got hard terrain tires, which I think just means it's a softer compound, and actual brand ones. These are Qingxing, whatever, Chinese garbage, and you buy them as a set for like $8. These were quite a bit more than that. I got new tubes for those as well. You can see the dry rot in here. There's still burrs of like the original manufacturing on them. I think they're older than they are worn. Still absolutely candidate for replacement. The tire size are 3x12. The rears are 3x12. The fronts are 2.5x14. Obviously not the most expensive, but they'll do the job. And then obviously tubes to go with them. I'm just gonna take these off and take them to a dirt bike shop and just have them do it because I don't feel like fussing with it. I've got other priorities, and that's not one of them. Finally got the handlebar back from powder coat. So we just did the steel silver, which is actually the name of the color, in case you want to copy it. It looks substantially better than it did previously, and that matches the rest of the components they also had powder coated. The rear swing arm is the last bit I want to do. I may or may not do it anytime soon. That is loose. Is the other one loose? I don't know. But we'll get that bolted on. Then I have Pro Taper grips to go on there because the ones that are on it are like the really cheap mini bike ones. And then we finally have a new handlebar pad that's like actually decent. Looks about right to me. Might as well check the other side. Oh, that one is also loose. Good. Okay, so there's that. I was gonna just replace the handlebar entirely with like something nicer, but then I got overwhelmed with all of the measurements involved. I didn't really know what I wanted, so I just said, screw it, and I powder coated the original one. Yamaha. This goes like over. Got the handlebar pad, all that stuff figured out. We're gonna do the graphics now, and I got this like livery. It says to wet apply it. I think we're gonna try like regular vinyl where we do dry heat apply. I'm gonna try with the piece that goes here. That's gonna be my test because I don't like it. I think it's ugly. So that's the one we're gonna test with and just see how it lays on. So we're just gonna wipe everything down with alcohol and lay it on, see what it does. And then if it needs it, heat it up. Vinyl really doesn't like sticking to plastic, so we may or may not need like an adhesion promoter. So again, I'm gonna try with this piece. If it doesn't work, whoop-de-doo, because I don't like it anyway. To the people that were like, why did you go with black? It's because I had a livery in mind and black was a good base. So I can tell you already this adhesive is stronger than normal car vinyl. Mostly like you can just, like it's grabbing the gloves a lot. I'd be curious to see if it has memory or not like regular vinyl, or if it also has air release. So far, it's not laying on super nice. It's kind of shitty, to be honest. I'll get the heat gun and see what we can do. Let that warm up. If it were plugged in, that would help. Let's give it a second to do its thing. I mean, so far I'm happy with the color scheme. I think it'll look good completed, but this is kind of not boding well for the whole situation of the vinyl. Well, I guess I'm just gonna leave this on until it bubbles off by itself because it's pretty garbage, to be honest. I think there's a piece of this front bill too. Let's see. Yeah, there is one. It's kind of ugly though, so I think we're just gonna not use that. You can stop that at any point. Yep, just keep creasing, that's totally fine. And the bubbles don't release because the vinyl sucks. I think it might actually be like multiple layers, and that's probably why it's not releasing. It might do it in the heat, like sometimes you gotta get vinyl like out in the sun to fully release. But yeah, ugly. I'm just gonna go ahead and lay it on anyway because I already have the graphics. I'm not gonna film it because I'm just gonna keep talking trash. We'll get it done. It'll just become one of those graphics kits you gotta look at from 10 feet or beyond. The graphics are on. I'm not happy with them, but they'll do the job. We're gonna try to replace the shock now. So it's the original shock, it works, but it doesn't really support an adult's weight. Like the bike squats fully under my weight. So if anyone larger than me rides it, whole rear end it rubs the tire. So that's not great. So I bought a larger and also an adjustable shock to go in its place. This shock didn't say it fits the bike, so we're gonna find out, but measurement wise, it should fit. So I'll pull the rear plastic off, pull the seat off, and then we'll get the old shock out, try to get this in there and hope it works. If it doesn't work, then I'm out like 150 bucks. So, thanks to the exhaust being on that side, you can't see what I'm doing. But it looks like the new shock's gonna hit the muffler, which is not the end of the world because I can always just hammer it. Actually, again, I don't care about the stock exhaust. The shock is in, and even then I had to massage the muffler a little bit. It'll self-clearance a little bit, but all in all, it's in there. It was actually really easy, especially for something that wasn't meant for this bike. All I had to do was cut spacers for the rear. If I were to leave the spacers out, the rear of the shock could wiggle around a little bit, and it would then contact the exhaust even more. Right now, it's not at all, which is good. It might when it compresses a little bit, but that's totally fine. You can tell the shock was a clone of a real one, but even so, it's still quite pricey. I no longer have access to the rebound settings, so I set it to where I wanted it and also set the preload where I wanted it. I don't think that rebound setting actually even does anything, but even so, I set it to where I wanted. That way I don't have to change it again because I can't unless I remove it anyway because it's in the frame. And then I just redid the thermal foil on the inside of the fender there, but the old stuff was peeling off, so it's all good there. The bike's all back together. I just took the tires over to a motorcycle shop. They swapped them out in much faster than I could have done it. Everything is back in order as far as chain, axle, brakes, sprocket, all that stuff. So it's good to go. I'm just gonna go ahead and run it now, get out the temperature, then change the oil. And we're just gonna use 1030 AMS oil, motorcycle stuff. So pretty easy. The plug hasn't arrived yet, but whenever that does arrive, we'll swap that as well. Okay. Not really sure what I'm expecting of the oil since it only has, I don't know, maybe 8 hours of runtime on it. It's a fresh-ish engine, so I'd prefer to not risk it. So let's see. Yeah, looks pretty good. You know, a little color to it, but clear, aerated. Obviously, so I just ran it. There's a little dirt in it, but the manual says it takes 0.79 quarts which, you know, 3/4 of a quart, and then we're using that stuff. So oil's good, plug hasn't arrived yet, but I ordered the same one, which is NGK BP6HS, and whenever that comes in, we'll swap it. I think it's a good place to wrap it up here. I've done everything that needs to be done, and also most of what I want to do. I still need the carb adjusted, but I think at this point it's fine-tuning stuff that needs to be done by like an actual two-stroke professional, not me. It runs good most of the time, except certain temperatures and certain RPM ranges, and I could keep guessing and keep wasting my time, but I think it's probably just worthwhile to pay a professional once to do it right. Even so, it's good enough to take to trails and probably run reliably and actually, you know, get a whole day's use of fun out of it. I have way too much money in this bike, also way too much time in this bike. I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. I'm happy with it, and it owes me so much that I don't know why I would willingly take a loss, because at this point I have more in it than the bike's worth. You can expect to see this in the future. It's probably not going to be in its own episode, but I don't plan to get rid of it anytime soon. With all that being said, thanks for watching and stay tuned. Tires were really fast done. Wow, English. Then we're using, well, if it would focus. Can you fucking not? Whatever. Okay, easy enough. Just drop that, that's fine.